Today I'll be discussing 6 common mistakes that guys make when their spouse tells them they want a divorce. They'll be said in no particular order with one exception, the first and the most important one. So let's start revving that engine. First and largest mistake guys make during a divorce process is not knowing their rights as a father. 25% of child custody cases come off with some sort of parental alienation. No matter how active and great fathers we may be, there are going to be custody disputes. Do not take a passive role here. I'm speaking from experience as an educated man. We all say that it won't happen to me, that we're too good a parent to be put in that situation, but I went 6 months without having my 2 youngins stay the night with me. She called the shots, and although I had every right, I didn't want to get the police involved. Simply put, I was scared to muddy the waters, and that could have worked against me in a court because the court would have seen it more as an absent dad, but I was given some inaccurate advice. So know your rights. Don't take a backseat to your children. If you're going through this, you're going to feel hopeless, but just as a kidney stone, this will pass. Let me say this, if you think that you're a good father now, just wait until you become a single dad. I took a poll in our Facebook men's divorce group asking them, as a single dad, my relationship with my children is option 1, stronger than if I stayed married. Option 2, more damage than if I stayed married. And option 3, too soon to tell. It's only been 6 months. But in actuality, I should have put 1 year because in 6 months, you're still in the fog of war. 60% of single dads said that the relationship with their children is stronger. Many said that the autonomy has helped them as they're no longer undermined by the mom. My point is this, you have more rights than you think, and the courts, they're now starting to catch up and listen to us as fathers, so don't let her out-muscle you. Second is manipulation. Manipulation is common, and yes, it occasionally works, but only for a short time. As a divorce and recovery coach, I've worked with enough men to see a pattern. We try everything to keep the now stagnant relationship together and may unintentionally resort to manipulation tactics as we try to bargain our way to getting them back. It doesn't make us a bad person or even does it define our character, but we are in no position to bargain. We lost our leverage, so we use what we got left. We try and shame them into feeling bad for themselves or guilt them into feeling bad for what they're doing to us and the children. Men, we often say things like, just remember that you're still my wife until those papers are signed. Or, what will the kids think seeing their mom with another guy? Or even, how can you do this to me? I know that you're going through a difficult time, but manipulation is the lowest form that you can use to get someone back. All you're doing is really delaying the process here. Third common mistake is lying to ourselves as we continue to try. We give, but the love that we give is no longer being reciprocated, reminding me of the saying that love without sacrifice, it's just like theft. As I work with hundreds of men, research has shown that on average, your wife has contemplated divorce for 2 years, but many of us will say that we never saw it coming. The signs were there, the fighting, loss of affection, the way she looks at you, they've all changed. I think that by the time that they said it, our surprise isn't that the marriage is over, but instead that she's going through with it. Many guys will use the term soon-to-be ex and stick to that term. 2/3 of men I've spoken to have said that it's because they're still holding on to something. That the enormity of the situation that you're in is just too much to handle, but she's your ex, and the marriage, it's now just a contract waiting to be legally revoked. Emotionally, she's checked out and she will come and go as she pleases as you try to stay at home just waiting for her to come home and give you some time. That's how desperate we get. We become so desperate that we're willing to pick up the crumbs of the little time that they're giving us. You try to bargain by saying couples therapy, but that window is come and gone. So now you have 2 moves left. You either look for a marriage coach, which the intent of becoming a better person to have her fall back in love with you again. But as I mentioned, they've been waiting for this for about 2 years. So you've got a long, high road ahead. And the reality is that these coaches, they're selling hope rather than the reality. And I have yet to get a straight answer, just one straight answer as to their success rate. The second more permanent move is to let go, to move on. But you think that all those years, all those investment, all that time, all in vain. Then there's the fourth. On social media, stop telling people how miserable you are. Have an inner circle, and if you need to, find a Facebook group with guys that are going through a divorce. That's what they're there for, to help. My divorce support group for men is amongst the fastest growing divorce group out there, and I'm very strict on making sure that we don't get any unwanted tourists. 25 to 30% of people requesting do not get in if there's any doubt as to their identity. So stop posting or stalking your significant other. I know that this is going to be hard, but unfriend them. Unfriend them. Saying that you have kids and you want to share the pictures, that's BS and it's just an excuse. And again, you are lying to yourself. But by unfriending them, that way you can't stalk them when you see their pictures of them when they're doing some celebrating or something that you feel is disrespectful to you. I've seen it too much. Guys posting how lonely they feel, or they change their profile picture to hide their face. Unless this has always been your way. If you hide your face on your profile, you're just showing shame to others. Worst case scenario is that while only 5% of divorces do go through the court, watch what you post. The rule of thumb is that if you post something in public, it's public record. If you post something private or with friends, it needs to be subpoenaed. And a person that makes a fake profile and friends you so that they can gather information about you, that's not public record, and it can count against them in a court of law. Groups are also subject to subpoena, but often these groups are private and only members can see who's in them, so they're less prone to get hacked. The fifth mistake guys make, it just irks me to say because I'm probably the biggest proponent of it's done, move on, let it go. You tried, she didn't, you're done. Have your fun. Therefore, I say this fully knowing that it's easier said than done, but don't for a single second move out. You can leave the house, go to your parents, go to your brothers, go to your new girlfriends. Well, maybe not that one, but don't move out. Here's a story. My first wife and I, we get along really well, but during the divorce, it was a tumultuous time. And during this time, I moved out when I got the call from my attorney as to the temporary support that I was going to have to pay. It was her Christmas wish list, and she got every single present that she wanted. As to what my attorney, she just said, hey, you chose to move. The judge doesn't care about your new bills. They want to see the children live a consistent life, and I get it. A lesson that I learned the hard way my first time. But this second time I was more prepared. We didn't have children, and I wasn't going to let it happen to me a second time. So she was the one that moved out, and she got stuck with her own bills. She did sue me, paying off thousands on attorney fees for a pathetic $300 or $400 monthly alimony, but that didn't even work out. Point of the story is that if you're going to leave, don't make it permanent unless there's legal resolution. If you're worried about your stuff getting stolen or suddenly getting broke, just put them in a safe place, or if you need to, add cameras up. It's admissible in court if she knows that they're up there. Just don't tell her if you're moving out. Keep your stuff as if though you live there. And number 6, it's letting your imagination get the best of you. You're scared, and social psychologists say that fear is a stronger emotion than love is. Seek help. Seek out yahoos like me and join our group. Again, you can find it in the comment section underneath. You're not alone here. Most of the guys I work with, their 2 most common fears are, first, that they face the fear of being washed up, old, lonely, and their second most common fear is that the next guy, how they're going to react towards their children. About their first fear, being washed up, you know that the average guy that I work with is 38. I'm 48. According to Pew data, a female's attractivity, it peaks in their early 20s, but men's attractivity peaks in their late 30s. Dating is harder on older women than it is on older men. Reminding me of what I first thought when I found out about my wife's extracurricular. I cried when she left me, but I laughed when I saw what she left me for. As for the stepfather scenario, it's hard to explain, but for the most part, it's just not as much of an issue. You are the dad, and I don't know if it's the ever-driven bro code in us, but Stepfathers, we just don't get caught up in the drama. They know that you're the dad, and for the majority of it, they honor it. Now, let me say that I haven't seen the same mentality of the stepmom, and I regularly hear some bitter rivalries between the mom and the stepmom. Fact is that there are many factors that will complicate the end of the relationship, and I could do an entire course on this. The thing is, we don't handle divorce as well as women do, and the suicide rate for men is 2.5 times bigger when they're divorced than when they're married. We must get our crap together because it can literally be a life or death issue. Then you got parental alienation, subpoenas, or restraining orders. You're walking a tight rope, and I get it. You can't do this alone. So once you press that like button and subscribe, I'd literally like to hear any additional errors that you feel that other guys do and how to handle such difficult situations. And if you find yourself in such a bad time, join our Facebook group. The link is under the comment section underneath. Thank you very much. And number six is letting your imagination get. And number six, it's you're walking a tight rope. You're walking a tight rope, and I get it.
I'ma wake up, do damage. Join them 7 sport, working on 90.